All right, welcome everyone to our October 2022 update. So these are now sessions that we're going to be running quarterly to help give you some insight into the work that we are continuing to do around Smarter SMSF. Now that may be in the platform, it may be specifically with features, documents, training and the like. Now we have historically done a regular member written update, and that does go into our knowledge base area, and we will continue to do that on a quarterly basis. But the feedback that we get from our members talking to them on a regular basis is that A, you're busy, and B, give me something succinct that makes sure that we understand and know what is being done by your team that is going to help us. So the idea again is that we are now going to produce these sort of training sessions on a quarterly basis to help you understand A, what we've been working on, and B, what we've got coming up. And some of this session will actually help us to get some prioritization on those tasks from you as well. So what are we going to cover today? We're going to look at some of the enhancements. In particular, we're going to focus then on not only what we've been doing now, but what we're actually looking at going into the future. Some document updates. We've got some key projects that we've been working on there. About the document combos. So for those of you that were at our July session, we did have some information there about how we're going to be combining documents. We've actually come up with something that we think is a lot better in terms of what it's going to do. So we'll share with you some initial insight, and the feedback that we've got from a couple of members that we've spoken to on it has been really positive as well. Our foundations course, I've got it there, but we won't be touching on anything. And of course, if you've got any questions, you can let us know. So what has been happening from a platform point of view? There have been a fair bit of things been going on that I would say are more operational to you on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to being added on in terms of documents and the like. So the first one here is just a little shift that we've made in the description on the Smarter SMSF website when you log in, because what we were finding is that people were confusing. So if I just go to our main page here, so people were confusing on the login, what was my account to what we previously had as the Smarter platform. So we've simplified this now, and funnily enough, once it has been more clear, we haven't had these same issues. So if you are logging into the platform, whether you're a member or PAYG, if you land on our Smarter SMSF website, there is now simply the platform login. There is also the PAYG sign up, but your subscription, which used to be called the My Account or Member Account, is now tagged as My Subscription. So if your credit card needs to be updated, if you need to make changes to your existing subscription, if you maybe have a Create 50 and you need to move it to a Create 100, you want to add training, all those things can be done on the Smarter SMSF website, where those subscriptions have initially been purchased. So that provides you with the ability to do that. And again, just a simple tweak there has now meant that we have a much clearer path for people. And like I said, the problems that we had in the early part of this quarter now have disappeared. The other things to note here is that we are about to release a couple of very important things. The first is we are revising our main login page to the website, and that is going to not only change from the point of view of the way it looks, but it is also going to incorporate the ability to use any Google login that you may have, in addition to the ability to log in using your standard username and password. Now, we are also going to be adding into that the ability to log in with Microsoft. We know quite clearly a lot of people use Microsoft with Teams and Outlook and so forth. That is the next part to this. So let's just, again, I'm going to jump in and out of screens again today. This is just a screenshot for you to see what that is going to now look like. So you'll see on the left-hand side here, you'll have your standard login requirements. If you've forgot your password, you're not signed up, all that sort of stuff. So same, but you'll then see now at the top, there is a login with Google, and equally in the not too distant future, you'll see a login with Microsoft there as well. So you'll be able to use those credentials to be able to log into the site. The other thing you can see on the right-hand side, this is more from a cosmetic point of view, it will allow us to keep you up to date with other things that are coming up. So one of the first things that we're going to be adding on to roll out with this new page is the fact that we have upcoming training, and therefore it will point you to that particular event, and you would then naturally be able to register. All of our other our ticketing system and our beacons that we have on the site to make you aware of things, they will all still remain the same. But again, there's just a bit of a refresh that we've done in respect to what that page will look like. And we'll be rolling this page out at the same time as we are rolling out the other item here that you can see, which is the multi-factor authentication. So with our multi-factor authentication, there is a few important things. There is a few important things that you need to be aware of, and we'll show you some of this in just a second. So there is an increased mandated requirement, or there's a mandated requirement, but it is increasing around the ATO's security framework with the SMSF software providers in particular. So from the view of Smarter SMSF, we have to, as part of the security requirements, of course, comply with that ATO's DSP security framework. And one of the changes that is coming up, and you'll be seeing this, whether you're using Xero or BGL and other things, is that where there is a current 30-day requirement, that 30-day requirement is actually going to reduce down to 24 hours. So if you're a class user, you'll already know that that's the case. So you can see in here with this screenshot, I've just got a number of screenshots here to share with you. When you log in, you will then have this authentication code that you will need to include. If you are using the authenticated app, you will also have the ability to use email, but there is a one-time setup process that you will need to go through. Again, we're going to have full instructions to provide you with in the upcoming email to roll out, but I'm sure many of you are utilizing, experiencing that across many aspects of your firm already. The other important thing is so you'll see under My Account, there is two-factor authentication settings in there. If you are logged in, you'll be able to go through and amend that process if you needed to for any reason, generate your relevant backup codes and so forth. If you are a Simple Fund 360 user and you are ordering via Simple Fund 360 to connect to the Smarter SMSF platform, we are not mandating, there is no obligation to have to mandate an additional two-factor authentication step in there. Because you have to log into BGL, using two-factor authentication, and then we are single signing you on into the Smarter SMSF platform. There is no kind of double step there. So this will apply only where you are completing orders via the Smarter SMSF platform. Okay, so just something to note. Again, we are expecting to probably, you'll get a note from us next week, most likely in respect to not only the change to the document page that you can see up above, but then the fact that you'll be required to implement and then adhere to that multi-factor authentication from then on in. In terms of other things, so again, going back to the slides, we have made a couple of minor tweaks to our order form process. And a lot of this is really off the back of what I'd say the fact that we've got more and more subscribers now are actually using the counters and the things that we have there. And what that means is that some staff will do the work, but it needs to be reviewed by a senior team member before the submission is made. So one of the things, again, if I go back to our screenshots on this slide here is that we now have included, and we've standardized, it kind of seems really simple, but until you kind of get the feedback, you don't know. But we've now standardized all of the order form buttons, whereby, and most importantly, on the last page, there is a save function that sits there. So on our first page, naturally save and next. On our last page, previous, save, and then submit or place your order. And then all other pages will allow you to navigate left or right between the various forms and save as well. What's always important to remember, however, is that if you are saving in different pages, it will then be creating a saved order as you go along. So in essence, if you hit save on one page and then go to the next page, it is going to be saving that order again and again. So in essence, if you are completing that order, or if you're filling in that order and you have all the information and it just needs to be reviewed, our recommendation is quite clearly get to the last page, self-review the information that is on that page, hit save, and then it will ask you to save that order, and then that record will then be stored in your saved orders area on the Smarter SMSF platform. So you'll go to your documents, you'll see the saved area there, and then you'll be able to resume that order, and I'll touch on not only that individual be able to resume that order, but your peer, your manager, or someone else within the organization will be able to potentially pick that up, again, subject to the subscription option if you have. It's obviously not relevant to PAYG orders there. So again, you just pick up the order and continue on. A couple of things here. It will recognize and give you the entry ID. At the moment, we're talking about the information, not only, yes, it's in the saved orders area, but will also then be visible within the user orders console. And I'm going to touch on that in just a second, because that user orders console is something that we've been doing a lot of work on for what feels like a very long period of time now, but we are making and we have made some very serious inroads into this area. So let me just share with you a little bit now about our user console, because this now gives, under subscription, the ability for the primary user or the admin user, the manager, the owner, and you can actually have multiple owners in here. It gives that person the ability to view saved orders of their team through that subscription, and also to view the completed orders of those team members through that subscription as well. So again, we're hitting user orders, and it's then taking us to the actual site. Here's one I prepared earlier. Actually, we might even just use the live one that we've got here. So what you can see is that this is taking you into, and I might go to user management first, this is then taking you into the details of the firm that holds the subscription with Smarter SMSF. It tells you the users that are linked to that. So they are the individuals who are ordering documents against the document subscription that you have with Smarter SMSF. So if it's a BGL firm, we're using the short firm code to connect. Otherwise, there's some other code that we would be utilizing, but most importantly, we're linking it back to the company. You can see in here, we have what we call our parent and child. We'll probably rename those to maybe an admin and then staff member. But the idea behind this is we are giving you the power to, and this is going to crash on me, is it? It's thinking. This is going to give you the power to actually invite users, add and remove users to that subscription yourself. So over the past 3, 4, 5 months, as we've been rolling this information out to you, where you have multiple users, you've needed to come to us to complete the staff that you want to incorporate in accessing that subscription. So what you can't really see here, unfortunately, because I think this is a combination of the screen and the fact that I'm recording this live. But in essence, the idea is you'll be able to invite users in here, and you'll be able to set the permission as to whether they have admin level or they actually have user level access as well. I'm not sure whether in here, if I just look at the notes, I'm hoping if I maybe just go in here. So again, if we go in here, we can see the saved order. Might just go to user management first. So we can see the invited people here. And then there is an invite user tab that will give you access to that information as well. It doesn't want to, of course it doesn't, being a live webinar. So the other thing, as I mentioned before, is that you will be able to, as that primary person, be able to access the saved and completed orders of various team members. So we had an example recently where someone rang us in a mad panic because one of their team members had ordered the document for a particular client. Of course, that client was coming in, and of course, that team member had gone away. So how do they then get access to that particular document so that it could get signed? So what this allowed, what we're able to clearly articulate to that member of ours is we said, well, you're the parent here, so you can actually log in. In this instance, if we say Joanne, you can go into the completed orders here for Joanne, and you will then be able to find that record and download that particular link. Okay, so within each of the staff members that you can see listed here, you will have access to all of the completed orders that they have actually ordered. And then you will also be able to, I might just wait there. You'll be able to see all of the saved orders of that individual as well. Okay, so the idea here is to give you full visibility over what is happening within your document subscription and giving you the power to say, what are the orders that have been done? So if we look at David here, we can see that he has produced a document, a constitution only document that is incomplete. So he may have done it to a point where me now as the primary holder or the manager of that team member, I can pick up that, I can click on that link, and then that order will be there for me to then go and complete it. So it now maybe gives you the autonomy to say to an admin team member, look, I need you to do a lot of the background and prep work. Once you've done that, let me know, and then I can log in and I can go through and review it rather than you having to key in that information. So again, the same principles apply here in both a completed order sense and also in a saved order sense. So we expect to do a fair bit more in this particular area to help, again, give you the visibility over what's happening, to give you the functionality to add and remove team members yourself rather than having to come through here. So if you haven't been in contact with us in the last couple of weeks in particular, we had a bit of a glitch in the rollout of the multi-factor authentication. One real positive out of that process, however, was the fact that we did get a number of firms that were using one login. We got all of the various team members set up within that subscription, giving you the ability to track and control that information. So off the back of that, if you haven't done that yet, please get in contact with us and we'll get that set up, because that process becomes just that much harder once the multi-factor authentication has actually been introduced. So again, just be aware of some of those critical issues. So again, let's just go back to the slides. The other thing and final thing I just wanted to add on here is we are doing a lot of work within our own API. So one of the things that we have done over time as we've built out the integrations and so forth is that we haven't had a standardized way in which the endpoints and the way in which we integrate with BGL, with Class, and also through our integration with InfoTrack or eCompanies. So one of the things that we are doing is we've kind of got to take a step back to take a few steps forward. And what that will mean for you is really important, because one, it's going to ensure that we not only have we kind of standardized our processes in how we are doing our integrations, and it's going to fast track how we can get new documents on the system, but B, if you are using, say, order forms on your side, your client side, so we have administrator firms, for example, that might have particular forms within your own portal, and you may have clients that are filling out that information. You then may utilize our API to be able to connect those forms to us to avoid the rekeying process. Now, you might obviously want to have a bit of a checkpoint at that point, but it is all about improving the flow of information to make your life easier as well. And that will be our, call it stage 2 of this process, that will allow you to connect with us through our standard API processes, just like you might already be doing, whether you're using things like BGL or Class or Xero APIs and the like as well. So from a document perspective, what have we been working on? So one of the big changes we've done over the last quarter is we've now rolled out our change of trustee form. So it was in beta for a while. We're going through and fixing any bugs and so forth that were found. So this allows you to include adding an individual trustee, removing an individual trustee, adding or removing, changing from individuals to company, changing from companies to individuals, and also company to company. So it covers all of those various aspects. Now, the other thing that we do already have is a change of trustee in respect to the death of a member. So that is a different form, and we are working on, and I'll touch on this a little bit later, we are working also on change of trustee due to incapacity. So the appointment of an enduring power of attorney because of the fact that that individual, that member no longer has capacity to obviously hold that position. So these are the things that we're kind of seeing more and more and more. So we are building some specific documentation to that. Now, that will also include some additional resolutions and minutes, even where a corporate trustee exists, just so we're stepping through the processes that are required, including that removal where they may be, like I said, where they're a director and we have requirements that we must follow within the Constitution. So our deed upgrade, again, that was one of our very original forms. So we're doing a bit of work around that. Most importantly, that revised form is going to incorporate the ability to update where an EPA is signing. One of the most common adjustments manually that we need to do is again, including the EPA. So these sort of things we're now starting to incorporate into some of those legal documents so that there is not a manual intervention that needs to occur. Before I touch on the pensions, just a couple of things to note there. Our eCPI choice minute is available. We've got sample documents on the site in respect to that. Our property ownership declaration and market valuation minute. It is a more and more common request we're seeing from auditors. So we have standardized that documentation for you to be able to use. What we are also looking at the moment is integrating a title search into that. So if you want to actually create a title search as part of that process, you'll be able to do so. So we can actually tap into an integration that we already have with our companies to do that through the same organization that we work with there. And the last one, like I said, was around the pension commencement. So we did recently run a webinar to share some insights into the changes that we have been doing in respect to the pensions. But what I want to do here is just share with you some of the key changes that we are building into our updated pension commencement. And we are in the final stages of testing internally, and we are, I guess, hand selecting a number of what we would call regular users of our pension documentation to give us some, I guess, final feedback before we launch it into what we call a public beta. So there's a few important things that I want to share with you that are now included into this revised pension form. So the first thing here is again, a common thing that we're seeing with enduring powers of attorney. So what you can see here is that it's going to now give you the ability to choose whether the member is an existing or is a listed trustee or director that was up above. Because if they are, then you will naturally continue on because the director member is one and the same. But where there may be an EPA, well, then the director or trustee above is going to be different to that member. So in that instance, where you choose no, it's now going to allow you to add in the member details separately for the purposes of the population of that document. Then it's going to allow you to choose up to 3 EPAs to act on behalf of that individual. And then the documentation that populates is naturally going to include the information that has been contained in the form. Now, the chosen EPAs are also going to have to be directors that you've listed above. So there is some smarts around that to ensure that you're only listing people that you already have as appointed directors or trustees inside the fund, and the date that is there as well. The other thing, more and more people are running multiple income streams, and is going to continue to do so, of course, with the ability to run contribution strategies through to age 75. So simple change, we've now added in the ability to give the income stream a name as part of the commencement. ABP 1, ABP 2, ABP 10, however many are actually running inside the fund. But the biggest shift comes here. And this comes off the back of one of our examples with a member client, where they have been fantastic users of the documents and the way in which the construct of those pension documents are. And many of you will know that we have an oral request inside the pension documents that confirm that initial oral request was started, say, on the 1st of July that particular year. Now, we had an example whereby there had been an oral request, genuinely an oral request that occurred, but between the time that that intention to start the pension had occurred to the time that the accounts had been completed to then prepare the documentation, that individual subsequently passed away. So we needed to take some additional steps within that pension document to really get around that issue. But it did highlight that what we could do to address this issue is give you multiple options around the way in which the pension commences. So now what you'll be able to do is we ask a question whether the account balance is known or not to be able to start that income stream. So if it's yes, then you'll continue on with that concept of confirming an oral request. If you select no, then it will, in essence, create a 2-step process. The first step being that you are creating that based upon an unknown balance that will be confirmed upon the completion of the financial statements, or some other method if you are using to determine using market valuation guidance, reason, ration process, and so forth. But as part of this process, you can see here that the pension will start maybe with the members' retiring accumulation interest, with an amount up to the members' transfer balance cap, or some other specified amount. Now, by virtue of going through this as a 2-step process, when you complete the initial set of documentation and you submit, we are automatically creating a saved order for you. Therefore, and this again has come from some member feedback, it means that you'll be able to go back to that saved order and you'll be able to pick up the form and go back to this question, and you will now say yes. And what you can see here is that now that the account balance is known, are you linking it back to a previous written request? Yes, I am. What was the date of that written request? And when were the completion of those accounts? So it now allows you to kind of choose your own adventure in terms of how you want to deal with the commencement of pensions for your clients. If you want to start them with information and have that documented on the 1st of July, you'll be able to do so, complete the accounts, and then the confirmation will happen thereafter. If you want to keep using the documents as you are ordinarily using them right now, you have the ability to do that as well. We just wanted to provide that flexibility to you. And I should say we're going to do that not only in the commencement once this has been launched, we'll do that around commutations and rollbacks as well. Now, the other thing, so there's more. We've done a lot of work in here. So where the chosen level of pension is required, what we do is we talk about taking at least a minimum payment each and every year. So what this is going to trigger is if you are choosing to take at least the minimum, we're giving you the option to produce the election documentation about how you might treat benefit payments that would be above the minimum for that year. And we're giving you not only the ability to produce that document, but we're giving you the options around how and the priority in how those benefits might be taken. So we've previously spoken with the changes at 1 July, it might change the approach in terms of whether you might draw from accumulation first and then from as a commutation, or do you do a commutation first and then from the accumulation account? So again, you've got some flexibility in the way in which you might do that and giving you the choice to produce those documents at the time that the pension commencement is done as well, because that documentation all needs to be prospective, not retrospective. Otherwise, you'd be denied the commutation from a income tax point of view. And the final one in here is just about the reversionary. So we are, again, seeing options in terms of the level of reversion and the form in which that reversion may want to be taken. So here, rather than simply issuing John to Jane Smith, therefore it would be inferring 100%, we're giving you some flexibility here in terms of a percentage allocation, and it may be 100%, a dollar amount, or up to, say, the member or beneficiary's transfer balance cap as well. So there's a range of things in that pension document, like I said, that we've been working on, and we're really excited, like I said, to get this out. If you want to find out a little bit more, like I said, we've run a webinar recently. You can go into the knowledge base and you'll be able to find a copy of that webinar and watch it and see, I guess, some of the work that's been done around that as well. So let's get back to our slides again. And the final thing on here is that we are working through a refresh on our unlicensed accountant letters at the moment. They are currently being signed off internally at Holly Nethercote. So we have incorporated superstream rollovers, so money rolling in, money rolling out, some contribution planning and so forth. So probably early in the new year, you're going to see us give a bit more information out on restructuring the packages to incorporate the unlicensed letters. We're kind of going to wait and see what transpires with the quality of advice review, but we're doing a lot of work still in respect to those documents, because we do get regular requests from our members about processes and what they can and can't do where they are not licensed. So those templates provide some really important ring fencing around the conversations that you're having with clients, setting up funds, running pensions, death benefit nominations, investment strategy, and so forth. Okay, so let's now move on and have a bit of a chat, I guess, about our roadmap and what's ahead. So for us, there's definitely more work to be done around our user orders console and the management there. The other thing that I didn't mention before that I will maybe just jump back in quickly to is we are also incorporating into the management of that user console the ability for you to be able to track the documents that are being ordered as well. So one of the things here might be, well, we're doing, Jane has done 15 orders and Tom has done 25 orders and whatever, and we've got to create 100 pack. But what are the documents that we are actually ordering as well? So this will give you the ability to choose from your team and to be able to filter by dates and effectively run a counter. If we can do some sort of visualization on this, we will as well for you. But it just gives you a sense of, well, how many documents are we actually doing? So what's the subscription actually look like in terms of, are we in our 50 documents, we've used 45, and again, across the team, it's been fairly evenly split, or one person's done more. And you'll go, actually, well, we've still got 15 pensions at least to do. And we actually haven't done any deed upgrades this year. And we know we've got to at least do 10. So it's giving you information about your subscription to help you understand in your own business the work that needs to be done. So again, you can hopefully see over this last quarter, last 6 months, we're doing a lot of work in the background to really enlighten you in terms of what is happening in your business, and therefore helping you to understand who's doing what and what's being ordered, and therefore what have we got left, and better plan, I guess, in terms of what we might need inside of our business as well. So let's jump back. So the continued improvers, like I said, in that user console area will be really important and a focus for us without question. We are working through at the moment at a full migration of our order documents. So obviously within here on our app, you can go in and you can order documents here. As part of the standardization of our API, we are moving to, in essence, what we call our Docs 2.0 platform. The big change will be there's two big changes. One is for those that are ordering on a pay-as-you-go basis, you'll be purchasing via a shopping cart up front, and you'll be able to have multiple orders in one basket. And then you would go and order. For subscribers, you simply bypass the cart, and then you go in and you can complete the orders, in essence, as you're doing today. The second bit, and this is relevant to everyone, is that the integration is embedded inside the form. So you won't need to go and connect and then go to a different area. You will simply be going into the form, and at the top of the screen, you will have the integration partners there. You will connect, you will download, you will import that information, and then you'll submit that order. So each and every form will have its own integration embedded at the very top of the form, again, as opposed to having to go somewhere else. Doesn't really impact those of you that use that through Simple Fund 360. You'll simply connect, go in, and then you'll be able to choose your clients from that particular drop menu. We are about to start work on a Supermate integration. We've got a number of clients who have been, I guess, knocking down our door asking for it for some time. They're sick of keying in information. So those discussions have commenced, and we hope to then get into that in this current quarter. We are continuing to work on our deed platform in terms of managing deeds, utilizing our automated deed upgrade, using our bulk upgrade service as well. So I might just quickly, I'll come back to that one in a second. So you're going to have the ability here to manage all of your deeds online, track the histories. You'll have a full integration into Class or BGL and Supermate to be able to import that information, not only manage the deeds, sign up if you want to have an automated update service, not only in respect to the fund, it'll be the company. There'll be a whole range of things that we're kind of be moving to in that regard. The other thing we're looking at is continue working with a select number of clients around a white label portal to be able to order certain documents. The other thing to note is in our last update, we spoke about document combinations. So we were looking at merging things like new SMSFs and companies and LRBAs, pension commutations and reboots and so forth. That, in theory, is a great idea. And we know some of our competitors do that sort of thing. But for us, one of our, obviously, our catch cries, our mantras is there is a smarter way. And what we are now doing, and we've shared this, I guess, some of this intel with some members previously, is we're now moving away from merging documents, but utilizing technology to flow data. So what does that mean? And you can see there, I've incorporated the term doc flows. We haven't really got a clever name for it yet, but let me share with you a couple of things here. So the idea is that we either create pre-populated workflows for you. So it may be establishing a new fund, and it may be with a corporate trustee. And that workflow will then allow you to go in, order your company, order your fund, order your investment strategy, order your DBNs and so forth. Now you're kind of going, well, where's the saving, Aaron? The saving here is, of course, that the data is going to be flowing from form to form to form. So you're not going to have to be rekeying data where the data has flowed from the initial form and then to the next form and the next form. So we see this as a better solution. And the reason why we see this as a better solution is because it allows you to step through what a workflow might look like. Now, that can be done in two parts. The other thing that we will incorporate in here is that you'll be able to choose different people, again, within your team in this subscription to do different tasks. So there'll be an assignment of that within that particular workflow. So it is a change of tact for us. So it's rather than combining forms, it's going to enable you to work through. So again, choose from, we will pre-build a number of workflows for you. Setting up a fund, new company, new SMSF investment strategy, setting up an LRBA, pension rebate, recontribution strategy. Hopefully you'll be able to then incorporate the unlicensed accountant letters and that sort of stuff as well. But the power of this then also, in my view, becomes rather than just pre-built workflows, we want to put the workflow power in your hands as well. What that means is you will be able to internally get to the end of the job and go, okay, we need to do some contribution reserving minutes. We need to do a commutation, a pension reboot for multiple clients. We might want to do a deed upgrade and so forth. Now, that workflow can be created yourself from the number of available documents that we have on our platform. It will then go back into this sort of setting, and then you can have that team member work through that workflow and tick off all of those things. So you know then that that workflow has actually been done. So we're pretty excited around what we can do in that space. And again, it just forms part of a number of projects that we're working on at the moment. Again, just sharing some screenshots initially. And we will continue with these sort of updates around what is happening there. We keep getting asked about the ABN TFN. We haven't advanced that anywhere near to the extent that we'd like. Some of these other improvements that we've been working on have clearly taken some priority at the moment, in particular around the user console stuff. So I just wanted to let you know that we haven't forgotten about it, but we're just, I guess, managing priorities and resources. We have added recently an additional dev resource into the business as well. And of course, we continue to expand out the available documents and so forth on the site and continue to build, I guess, not only improve docs, but build out new documents based upon the information that we get from you as members as well. So one thing I'm looking at, I guess, asking you is to help us try and understand what should be our priority, because there's a range of things that we ultimately can look at doing, and we are structuring priorities at the moment. We've got a few ideas ourselves, but I'd be interested to hear from you, what feature do you believe is most important right now for us to help you in your business? So I might just give a minute or so. So it's, is it our deed service with the automated update? Is it the integration with Supermate? Is it our workflows piece? Is it getting the ABN and TFN integration done? Is it our white label document portal? Or is it about enhancing that whole orders console process as well? So yeah, if you can have a think about that and let us know, it'll just give us some key, I guess, insights into what is most important at the moment for us, and go from there. So I might give it another 30 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever. But hopefully, if you've got any other questions about, I guess, what we're working on, if you've got any other questions generally about the documents or other things, please let us know. And we'll be more than happy, obviously, to come back to you. Things like, for example, our pension commencement, if you'd like to look at some of the testing and access to that, that's a good example of where we'd be more than happy to have a discussion with you about giving us some feedback on those particular issues. So I'll end the poll there. We're actually, funnily enough, we're sort of split right down the middle with some of these things. So I'll take that on notice. We might have some individual discussions with people as well. So from me today, thank you for being a part of today's session. Hopefully that's given you some insights into what's been happening over the last quarter. We will build out a quarterly, I guess, an update from this on our knowledge base so that you can come back and obviously look at some of the things we've discussed. The recording will go up, but some screenshots and more detail on the things that we've spoken today. Hopefully you've got some value out of today's session, most importantly, that you maybe not using the things that you thought were there, or little tips and traps that you need to be aware of. Thank you once again. Like you can see there, we've got a range of other sessions that are coming up, including the federal budget next Tuesday. So what will be happening with SMSFs, I guess we need to wait and see. But other than that, have a great rest of the day. Thank you. And I look forward to you joining me again for our next Smarter SMSF update, which will be at some stage in January. Take care and bye for now. All right, well, I think that's it, folks. There's no other questions or anything, so we might leave it there. Thank you once again for joining us today. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to get in contact with us and we're more than happy to take you through. I'll speak soon. Bye for now.